Today, we're diving into a truth that most men don't want to face, but absolutely need to. You should never like a woman more than she likes you. This isn't about games, manipulation, or bitterness. It's about power, respect, and the reality of how attraction works. If you flip that balance, if you pour more into her than she's pouring into you, you don't come across as loyal or romantic. You come across as desperate. And desperation is the fastest way to kill attraction. Welcome to the channel where we break down the hidden dynamics of relationships and teach men how to build real confidence, not fake confidence. My mission here isn't to feed you cliches, it's to help you understand women and yourself on a deeper level so that you stop making the same mistakes that keep you stuck. Think about it. When a man likes a woman more than she likes him, the scales of the relationship tip in her favor. She sets the tone, she calls the shots, and you spend all your energy chasing validation instead of living your life with purpose. And when you do that, you're no longer in a relationship. You're in servitude. Harsh, maybe, but true. This video is going to challenge the way you think about women, love, and your role as a man. It might even make you uncomfortable, and that's the point. Because growth doesn't come from staying comfortable, it comes from facing uncomfortable truths. So buckle up, because we're about to dismantle the fantasy that women want endless affection and prove why the man who values himself above all else is always the man who wins. 1. The power of balance in relationships. When it comes to attraction, one of the most overlooked but critical principles is balance. A relationship, at its healthiest, is built on a mutual exchange of energy, respect, and desire. The moment one side outweighs the other, the entire dynamic starts to crumble. And here's the harsh truth most men need to realize. If you like a woman more than she likes you, that imbalance won't just weaken the relationship, it will destroy it. Think of it like a scale. On one side, you have your interest, your attention, your effort. On the other side, you have hers. When both are close to equal, the relationship feels stable. You respect her, she respects you, and neither side feels like they're doing all the work. But the second you put too much weight on your side, she doesn't feel flattered. She feels the power shift. And once that power shifts, attraction begins to fade. Women are wired to be drawn to men they respect. Respect doesn't come from being overly available, constantly reassuring her, or giving her everything she asks for. Respect comes from being a man who has standards, who knows his value, and who doesn't hand over all his energy just because he finds her attractive. When you like her more than she likes you, you're basically telling her that she doesn't need to invest in you. She doesn't need to try. She doesn't need to put in effort. And if she doesn't need to invest, she won't value what she's getting. It's the same principle as anything in life. If something is handed to you without effort, you don't treat it with the same seriousness as something you had to earn. That's exactly how women operate with men. If you're giving her your heart before she's given you her respect, you've already lost. She may take the attention for a while, but deep down she's losing interest because there's no challenge, no balance, no reason to fight for your approval. This doesn't mean you should play games or hide your feelings. It means you need to understand that balance is what keeps the spark alive. A man who values himself ensures that her interest matches his. He doesn't keep pouring into a cup that's already full while his own runs dry. He recognizes when she's not reciprocating and pulls back, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. The most attractive men aren't the ones who give the most. They're the ones who know when to give and when to hold back. They let her meet them halfway because they understand that mutual investment is what creates lasting attraction. So here's the lesson. Balance isn't optional, it's everything. If you ever find yourself liking a woman more than she likes you, you're no longer standing on equal ground, you're standing on shaky ground. And that's not the foundation for love, it's the foundation for disappointment. 2. Why over-investing kills respect. One of the biggest mistakes men make when they like a woman is giving too much, too soon, without realizing the effect it has on her perception. On the surface, most men think that showering a woman with attention, affection, and constant reassurance will make her feel more loved and secure. But in reality, it often has the opposite effect. It makes her feel smothered, pressured, and ultimately less attracted. Overinvesting doesn't build closeness, it kills respect. Here's why. Women are deeply intuitive about the energy they get from men. When you're constantly chasing her, always available, and going out of your way to prove your feelings, she doesn't interpret it as romance, she interprets it as neediness. And neediness is not attractive because it communicates something she never wants to feel about a man, that she's more important than he is. When a man overinvests, a woman begins to feel the weight of responsibility that should never be hers to carry. She feels like she's in control of the dynamic, but not in a way that excites her. Instead, it makes her uncomfortable. She starts to think, if he's giving me all of this attention so easily, does he even value himself? Why doesn't he make me earn it? A woman wants to feel chosen, yes, but she also wants to feel that she's chosen someone strong, someone with standards, someone whose love means something because it isn't given freely to just anyone. Overinvesting strips away the mystery and excitement of the relationship. Instead of enjoying the natural back and forth of attraction, she feels trapped under the pressure of a man's constant devotion. What most men don't realize is that too much attention can make her feel suffocated. Instead of missing you, she feels relief when you're not around. Instead of feeling lucky to have your affection, she feels guilty because she can't return it at the same level. That guilt then turns into frustration, and frustration slowly becomes resentment. Another important detail is how overinvesting shifts the emotional roles. A woman wants to admire the man she's with. She wants to look at him as someone she can look up to, not someone she has to manage emotionally. But when you overlike her, she feels the power imbalance. She realizes that she doesn't need to give much effort to keep you, and the less she has to give, the less respect she feels. Respect and attraction are inseparable. Once respect is gone, attraction follows. So understand this. When you overinvest, you're not showing her love, you're showing her fear. Fear of losing her, fear of not being enough, fear of being alone. And women don't respect fear, they respect strength. What truly makes a woman feel secure is not endless devotion, but knowing that the man she's with values himself enough to require balance. That's why overinvesting kills respect. It makes her feel pity instead of admiration, guilt instead of desire, and pressure instead of freedom. And once those feelings creep in, the relationship is already on borrowed time. 3. The chase dynamic. How men should go about the chase. Every man has been told at some point that women love the chase. But what most men get wrong is how they interpret that. They think chasing means constantly calling, texting, showing up, buying gifts, and proving their worth through endless effort. In reality, this type of pursuit doesn't excite a woman, it overwhelms her. The real chase is not about smothering her with attention, it's about sparking curiosity, keeping mystery alive, and making her feel like she has something valuable to pursue in you. Let's break it down. When a man is truly confident, he doesn't chase a woman the way most guys do. He doesn't make her the center of his world the second she shows him interest. Instead, he knows that his time, his energy, and his presence are valuable. He allows her to experience enough of him to feel interested, but he also gives her space to wonder, to miss him, to think about what it would be like to have more of him. That balance is what makes the chase thrilling for her. The right way to go about the chase is to engage her without overinvesting. That means showing genuine interest when you're together, listening, being present, making her laugh, but not being glued to your phone all day sending her validation through constant texts. It means planning a date that excites both of you, but not rearranging your entire life to fit her schedule. It means being consistent enough that she knows you're interested, but not so available that she feels you have nothing else going on. Here's the truth. Women want to feel chosen, but they also want to feel like they had to earn that choice. If you give her everything too quickly, she feels no sense of achievement. On the other hand, if you play games and withhold affection entirely, she loses interest because she feels you're not genuine. The sweet spot is when she knows you like her, but she also knows she has to meet your standards to keep you interested. Think of the chase like a dance. You take a step forward, she takes a step forward. You give a little, she gives a little. That rhythm builds tension, and tension creates attraction. The mistake men make is sprinting across the dance floor, trying to close the gap all at once. When you do that, she doesn't feel the excitement of pursuit. She feels cornered. So how should men go about the chase? By leading with confidence, keeping their lives full, and making sure the woman has room to invest. Show her enough to ignite desire, but never so much that she feels you need her more than she needs you. The chase isn't about proving yourself. It's about letting her feel that she has discovered something rare and valuable in you. When you master that balance, you're no longer chasing her, she's chasing you back. 4. Self-value comes first. One of the most important lessons a man can ever learn is that his value doesn't come from how much attention he gets from women. It comes from who he is when no one is watching. Too many men build their self-worth around whether a woman texts them back, shows interest, or gives them approval. And when you live like that, you're not really living as a man. You're living as a reflection of her opinion. Here's the reality. Women can sense when a man doesn't value himself. It shows up in how he talks, how he behaves, and how quickly he abandons his own priorities for her. If you drop your plans, your goals, or your standards just to please her, what you're really communicating is that she's more important than you. And while it might feel romantic in the moment, in her mind, it's a red flag. She starts to think, if he doesn't even value his own time and goals, why should I? Self-value begins with having a life that matters outside of her. That means you have a purpose. Whether it's building your career, improving your health, mastering a skill, or chasing a vision that excites you. When you have something you're passionate about, women notice it. They respect it. In fact, they're drawn to it because it signals strength, independence, and direction. A man who knows where he's going doesn't need a woman to complete him. He chooses a woman to complement his journey. That's a powerful difference. Now let's be realistic. It's easy to say, focus on your purpose. But what does that actually look like? It means you don't cancel your workout because she suddenly wants to hang out. It means you don't skip studying, working, or building just because she texts you at midnight. It means you're willing to walk away from situations where your self-respect is compromised, even if that means losing her. Living this way requires discipline, but it also makes you unshakable. Here's what happens when you put self-value first. You stop over-analyzing her every move. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop fearing rejection because you know that your worth doesn't depend on her response. And when you carry yourself like that, women feel it. They feel the difference between a man who needs them to feel whole and a man who is already whole on his own. The second type of man is the one they respect, desire, and want to follow. So understand this. Liking a woman is fine, but never more than you like yourself. If your self-value comes first, she'll see that being with you is a privilege, not a duty. And that's the exact mindset that keeps attraction alive. 5. How women test men who overlike them. Every man needs to understand this. Women test men, not because they're cruel, not because they're trying to play games, but because it's built into the psychology of attraction. A woman wants to know if the man she's with is truly confident or if his confidence is just an act. And the moment she senses that you like her more than she likes you, the tests get even stronger. These tests can be subtle. She might cancel plans at the last minute to see how you react. She might ignore your texts for a while just to gauge your patience. She might make a sarcastic comment about another guy to see if you crumble with jealousy. These aren't random behaviors. They're ways of checking your strength, your composure, and most importantly, whether you're centered in yourself or dependent on her. Now, here's the mistake most men make. They take these tests personally. They get angry, insecure, or overly dramatic, which only proves her suspicion that he isn't as solid as he claims to be. When a man overlikes a woman, he fails these tests because he's terrified of losing her. He reacts instead of responding, and that reaction confirms that she holds all the power. Once she feels that, her respect begins to fade. So, how should men go about this? First, by recognizing the test for what it is. Instead of viewing it as disrespect, see it as an opportunity to demonstrate self-control and strength. If she cancels plans, don't beg to reschedule. Simply say, "No worries, let me know when you're free," and keep living your life. If she ignores a text, don't double text in panic. Wait, give her space and continue focusing on what you're doing. If she tries to spark jealousy, don't get defensive. Smile, brush it off, and show her that your emotions aren't so easily manipulated. The key is to remain grounded. Women respect men who don't lose composure under pressure. By passing these tests with calmness and maturity, you prove that you're not the type of man who crumbles at the first sign of resistance. And that, ironically, makes her even more attracted to you. Here's what men need to understand. Women aren't testing to push you away. They're testing to see if you're worth pulling closer. They want to know if you're truly the man you present yourself as. If you handle these tests with confidence, she feels safe, respected, and drawn to you. But if you fail, she knows she can control you. And once control enters the picture, desire disappears. So remember this. When she tests you, don't resist it and don't overreact. Smile, stay calm, and let your actions show that your world doesn't revolve around her approval. That's how you turn tests into opportunities, and that's how you keep her respect. 6. Attraction versus approval. Seeking. One of the biggest traps men fall into is confusing attraction with approval. Attraction is what makes a woman's heart race when she sees you. Approval seeking is what makes her roll her eyes when she realizes you're doing everything just to win her over. On the surface, the two can look similar, but the energy behind them couldn't be more different. And here's the truth. Women can feel the difference instantly. Attraction is natural, effortless, and magnetic. It's when you walk into a room and people notice you. Not because you're trying too hard, but because you carry yourself with confidence, purpose, and presence. Attraction happens when you live your life fully, when you stand firm in your values, and when you're not afraid to walk away from situations that don't serve you. A man who creates attraction doesn't need to tell a woman he's valuable. She feels it in the way he lives. Approval seeking, on the other hand, is desperate. It's the guy who constantly fishes for compliments. The guy who texts back immediately every single time, not because he wants to, but because he's afraid of losing her attention. It's the guy who agrees with everything she says, laughs at every joke even when it's not funny, and bends over backwards to avoid conflict. In short, approval seeking is trying to buy attraction with validation, and women are turned off by it because it feels weak and hollow. Here's the interesting part. Women don't fall for the guy who gives them endless approval. They fall for the guy who can make them feel something. That something might be excitement, curiosity, or even a little bit of tension, but it's never boredom. And nothing is more boring than a man who exists only to be liked. So how do you stay attractive instead of slipping into approval seeking? First, you have to get comfortable with not being liked all the time. A confident man doesn't need every word he says to land perfectly. He doesn't need to win every argument or agree with every opinion. He's willing to be himself fully, even if it means risking disapproval. That edge, that willingness to stand on his own, is what makes him magnetic. Second, you focus on creating experiences, not giving validation. Instead of asking, "Do you like me?" you bring her into your world. You plan fun dates, you share your passions, you challenge her to grow with you. You show her that being around you is exciting, unpredictable, and valuable. That's attraction. Finally, you have to remember this. Approval seeking is about giving away power. Attraction is about holding it. When you're chasing approval, she feels like she's above you. But when you're creating attraction, she feels like she's discovering something rare, something she doesn't want to lose. So stop living for her approval. Live for your mission, your values, and your truth. That's what makes a man unforgettable, and that's what keeps women hooked. 7. Becoming the man she respects and chooses. At the end of the day, every man wants to be the one a woman looks at with admiration, the one she chooses, not because she has to, but because she genuinely respects him. But respect isn't something you can demand, and it's not something you can fake. Respect is earned by how you carry yourself, by how you live your life, and by how you respond to the inevitable challenges of relationships. If you want a woman to choose you, you must first become the kind of man worth choosing. So what does that look like in practice? It starts with having a clear identity. Too many men lose themselves the moment they meet a woman they like. They shift their interests, their priorities, and even their personality just to fit her preferences. But here's the problem. If you're constantly bending to please her, she doesn't feel like she's with a man. She feels like she's with a reflection of herself. That kills attraction. The man she respects is the one who has his own standards, his own direction, and isn't afraid to stick to them even if she disagrees sometimes. Next, it's about emotional composure. Women are naturally emotional, and part of what makes them feel safe with a man is knowing that he won't fall apart every time things get difficult. If you react with panic, jealousy, or insecurity every time she tests you, she'll see you as weak. But if you stay calm, collected, and unshaken, she sees you as strong. That strength is what makes her feel secure enough to lean on you, trust you, and admire you. Another critical piece is leadership. Being the man she respects doesn't mean controlling her. It means guiding the relationship with purpose. You make plans, you set direction, and you're decisive. Women don't want a man who always says, "I don't know, what do you want to do?" They want a man who knows what he wants and invites her along for the ride. That doesn't mean ignoring her input. It means having the confidence to lead while still valuing her perspective. And finally, becoming the man she chooses means never forgetting that you are the prize too. This is where most men fail. They put the woman on a pedestal so high that they forget their own value. But if you don't believe you're the prize, she won't either. The respect and desire she feels for you will always mirror the respect and desire you have for yourself. So here's the bottom line. If you want to be the man she respects and chooses, stop trying to win her approval and start focusing on building yourself. Create a life so full of purpose, direction, and strength that being with you feels like an opportunity, not a favor. When you do that, you'll never have to chase her respect. It will come naturally, and she'll never want to risk losing you. So here's the lesson. Never like a woman more than she likes you. Relationships thrive on balance, respect, and mutual investment, not one-sided devotion. When you put yourself first, your purpose, your standards, your mission, you naturally become the man she respects and chooses. Over-investing, chasing too hard, or living for her approval only makes her pull away. But when you value yourself above all, you create attraction that lasts. Remember, a woman wants to admire you, not manage you. Be the man she respects, and you'll never have to question where you stand.